The massive alien warship Dominion's Fist moved slowly through the dark space near the edge of the Valtarian Empire. Its gray metal hull stretched for 3 kilometers, covered in weapon ports and sensor arrays that had kept the Empire safe for 1,000 years. On the bridge, High Commander Thexvar stood with his forearms crossed behind his back, watching the stars through the main viewing screen. Thexvar was proud of his position. The Valtarians had ruled this part of the galaxy for so long that most species had forgotten what life was like before the Empire. His people were strong, smart, and their technology was the best anyone had ever seen. At least that's what he believed. "Commander," called sensor technician Vrilix from his station. His voice carried a note of confusion. "I'm reading something strange on the long-range sensors." Thexvar turned his large head toward the technician. Like all Valtarians, he was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large black eyes. "What kind of strange?" he asked. "There's a massive energy reading building up about 50,000 kilometers ahead of us," Vrilix said, his fingers dancing over the control panel. "But there's nothing there. No ships, no stations, nothing." The commander walked over to look at the sensor display. The readings made no sense. Energy was building up in empty space, growing stronger by the second. "Could it be a weapon?" he asked. "I don't know, sir. I've never seen anything like this before." Suddenly, space itself seemed to tear open. A swirling hole appeared in the darkness, glowing with blue and white energy. The hole grew larger and larger until it was big enough for a ship to fly through. Then something did. The vessel that emerged from the tear in space was unlike anything the Valtarians had ever seen. It was smaller than their warship, maybe 800 meters long, but its design was completely different. Where Valtarian ships were built for intimidation, with sharp angles and weapon ports everywhere, this ship was smooth and curved. Its hull was dark gray with blue lights running along its sides. "What is that?" Thexvar whispered. The strange hole in space closed behind the new ship, leaving no trace that it had ever been there. The vessel moved forward slowly, its engines glowing with a soft blue light that was nothing like the red plasma drives the Valtarians used. Inside the alien ship, Admiral Kang Daeho stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride. He was a man in his 50s with short black hair and calm dark eyes. He had spent 20 years in Earth's space navy, and he had never seen anything as impressive as the alien warship that now faced them. "Report," he said quietly to his crew. Dr. Park Miran looked up from her science station. She was younger than the Admiral, with long black hair tied back in a neat ponytail. "The alien vessel is approximately 3 kilometers long. I'm reading massive energy signatures from what appear to be weapon systems. Their technology is interesting. Very different from ours, but not necessarily more advanced." Commander Lee Tae-woo, the ship's tactical officer, turned from his station. "Sir, they're scanning us. Very thorough scans. They're trying to learn everything they can about our ship." Captain Nam Yoonji, who handled communications, suddenly spoke up. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the alien vessel. It's in a language I don't recognize, but our computers are working on a translation." Kang nodded. "Put it through when you have something we can understand." A few minutes later, a harsh voice filled the bridge. The translation was rough, but the meaning was clear. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Valtarian space without permission. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded for inspection. Any resistance will be met with destruction." The Admiral raised an eyebrow. "Friendly people," he said dryly. Dr. Park looked worried. "Admiral, I'm reading more ships approaching. At least 6 of them, all similar in design to the first one." Kang thought for a moment. Earth had sent the Soul's Pride on an exploration mission to find new worlds, and maybe make contact with other intelligent species. They had found more than they bargained for. This Valtarian Empire seemed to control a large area of space, and they didn't seem happy about unexpected visitors. "Captain Nam, open a channel to the alien ship," he said. "Channel open, sir." Kang spoke clearly and calmly. "This is Admiral Kang Dae-ho of the Earth vessel Soul's Pride. We come in peace and mean no harm to your empire. We request safe passage to your capital world so we can establish formal diplomatic relations." The response came back quickly, and the alien voice sounded angry. "You will surrender your vessel immediately. Primitive species do not make demands of the Valtarian Empire. Power down now or be destroyed." The Admiral looked around his bridge. His crew was well trained and ready for anything, but they were just one ship against what was now 7 alien warships. Still, he had his orders from Earth Command, and those orders didn't include surrendering to hostile aliens. Dr. Park, he said, what can you tell me about their weapons? They appear to use plasma-based energy weapons, sir. Very powerful, but nothing our shields can't handle. Their defensive systems look like standard energy barriers, effective against their own weapons, but not against ours, Kang finished. Commander Lee nodded. Our quantum torpedoes should phase right through their shields, sir. And our adaptive shielding will adjust to their plasma weapons within seconds of the first hit. Kang made his decision. Captain Nam, send another message. Tell them we refuse to surrender, but we don't want to fight. We're willing to leave their space peacefully if they'll just let us go. The alien response was immediate. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons, or we will disable your ship and take your crew as prisoners. The Admiral looked at the tactical display. 7 alien warships surrounded his single vessel. Each one was much larger and appeared to carry enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Any normal ship would be hopelessly outmatched. But the Soul's Pride was not a normal ship. All hands, this is the Admiral, Kang announced over the ship's communication system. We are about to engage hostile alien vessels. Remember your training, trust your equipment, and let's show them what humans can do. On the alien flagship, High Commander Thexvar watched the small human vessel with amusement. Primitive species, he said to his officers. They always think they can fight us. This will be over quickly. He turned to his weapons officer. Target their engines. I want them alive for questioning. Yes, sir. All ships report ready to fire. Thexvar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Fire 7 Valterian warships open fire at once. Bright red plasma bolts streaked through space toward the small human vessel. The commander expected to see the alien ship's shields fail and its hull crack open under the massive attack. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ship's shields absorbed every shot without even flickering. The plasma bolts, which could destroy mountains, simply disappeared into the blue energy field that surrounded the vessel. What? Thexvar gasped. That's impossible. On the bridge of the Soul's Pride, Commander Lee reported calmly. Shields at full strength, sir. Their weapons aren't even registering on our defensive grid. Admiral Kang nodded. Return fire. Disable their weapons, but don't destroy them. Yes, sir, the human warship fired back. But instead of the red plasma the Valterians expected, strange blue projectiles emerged from the ship's weapon ports. The torpedoes seemed to flicker in and out of reality as they flew toward the alien vessels. The Valterian shields might as well have not existed. The quantum torpedoes passed right through them like they weren't there. They struck the alien ship's weapon systems with perfect accuracy, disabling plasma cannons and missile launchers without damaging life support or engines. In less than a minute, 6 of the 7 Valterian warships were defenseless. Only the flagship still had working weapons. Impossible, Thexvar whispered, staring at his tactical display in disbelief. How did they do that? High Commander Thexvar stared at his tactical display in shock. 6 of his 7 warships floated helplessly in space, their weapons destroyed by the strange human torpedoes. His own flagship was the only ship left with working guns, and he wasn't sure how long that would last. Sir, his weapons officer called out. All ships report the same thing. The enemy weapons passed right through our shields like they weren't there. How is that possible? Thexvar didn't answer. In 1,000 years of Valterian rule, no one had ever built weapons that could ignore their shields. Their energy barriers were the best in the galaxy. Every species they had ever fought used plasma or laser weapons that their shields could stop. This was impossible. On the bridge of the Soul's Pride, Admiral Kang watched the alien ships with calm eyes. He felt no pleasure in the easy victory. These aliens had threatened his ship and crew, but they were still living beings. He didn't want to kill them unless he had no choice. Dr. Park, he said, are you getting anything useful from their communication signals? The science officer nodded, her fingers dancing over her control panel. Yes, sir. While they were scanning us, I managed to tap into their communication network. I'm downloading their language database now, along with what appears to be recent military reports. Lieutenant Kim Hyun-woo, the weapons officer, looked up from his station. Admiral, the flagship is powering up some kind of heavy weapon. Energy readings are off the charts. Kang turned to Commander Lee. Options? We could disable it the same way we did the others, sir. Or... Lee paused, checking his tactical display. Our point defense lasers could intercept whatever they're about to fire. Do it. But don't destroy their ship. We need to talk to these people. The Valterian flagship unleashed its most powerful weapon, a massive plasma beam that could cut through a small planet. The energy beam raced toward the human ship, bright enough to be seen from orbit. The Soul's Pride's defensive systems responded instantly. Dozens of small laser turrets emerged from hidden ports along the ship's hull. They fired in perfect coordination, creating a web of laser light that intercepted the plasma beam and scattered it harmlessly into space. Their most powerful weapon, Commander Lee reported calmly, stopped by our point defense system. Thexvar watched his ultimate weapon disappear like smoke in the wind. This was beyond impossible. This was nightmare. A single small ship had defeated his entire battle group without even trying hard. "Sir," his communication officer called out, "the alien ship is sending another message." "Put it through," Thexvar said, his voice barely a whisper. Admiral Kang's voice filled the Valtarian bridge. "Commander, you've seen what our weapons can do. We don't want to hurt anyone, but we will defend ourselves. Order your ships to power down all weapons and we can talk." Thexvar wanted to refuse. His pride demanded that he keep fighting, but he looked at his tactical display and saw the truth. His ships were helpless. The humans could destroy them all whenever they wanted to. "All ships," he said slowly, "power down weapons." On the human ship, Dr. Park looked up from her station with excitement. "Admiral, I've finished analyzing their communication intercepts. This is incredible. What did you find? They call themselves the Valtarian Empire, and they control hundreds of star systems. But here's the interesting part. According to their own military reports, they've classified Earth as a Category 7 primitive species." Chief Engineer Choi Yeon-soo, who had been quietly monitoring the ship's systems, laughed. "Category 7? What does that mean?" "It means they think we're barely worth watching," Dr. Park explained. "Category 7 species are described as pre-spaceflight civilizations with no strategic value. They don't even bother to monitor us closely." Admiral Kang raised an eyebrow. "So they have no idea what we're really capable of?" "None at all. Their most recent report on Earth is over 50 years old, and it describes us as primitive mammals using chemical rockets for limited orbital flights." Commander Lee grinned. "Well, that explains why they were so confident." Captain Oh Sung-jin, one of the fighter pilots, spoke up from his station. "Admiral, we're receiving a distress call from one of the disabled alien ships. It sounds like they're having life support problems." Kang didn't hesitate. "Chief Engineer, take a repair team over there and help them fix it. Captain Shin, provide security for the engineers." Captain Shin Dong-min, the leader of the ship's Marines, nodded. "Yes, sir. My men will keep the engineers safe." Dr. Park looked surprised. "Sir, are you sure that's wise?" "They did try to destroy us, and they're not our enemies, Doctor. They just don't understand us yet. Show them that humans help people in trouble and maybe they'll start to listen." 20 minutes later, Chief Engineer Choi and her team were aboard the damaged Valtarian ship, working to repair their life support systems. The alien crew watched in amazement as the humans fixed their ship with tools and techniques they had never seen before. "Why are they helping us?" one Valtarian technician asked his captain. The captain had no answer. In the Empire, defeated enemies were enslaved or killed. They were never helped. Back on the Soul's Pride, Dr. Park had made another discovery. "Admiral, I've been analyzing their technology while our people help repair their ship. Their weapons and shields are powerful, but they're based on very old principles. It's like they stopped developing new ideas centuries ago." "What do you mean?" "Their plasma weapons are essentially the same design they were using 1,000 years ago, just bigger. Their shields are basic energy barriers that work fine against plasma and lasers, but they never developed defenses against quantum phase weapons because they never invented them." Colonel Ryu Min-ho, the ship's intelligence officer, had been listening quietly. "Doctor, are you saying their entire military is built around fighting enemies who use the same technology they do?" "Exactly. They've been the strongest force in this part of the galaxy for so long that no one has challenged them to improve. They've grown comfortable." Admiral Kang thought about this. Earth had taken a very different path. Humans had spent centuries fighting each other with increasingly deadly weapons. They had been forced to develop better defenses, better engines, better everything, just to survive their own wars. By the time Earth had united and looked to the stars, human technology had evolved far beyond anything needed to fight other humans. "Sir," Captain Nam reported, "Chief Engineer Choi says the alien ship's life support is fixed. She's requesting permission to return to our ship." "Granted. Have her team return immediately. A few minutes later, Chief Engineer Choi was back on the bridge. "Admiral, you should know something. While we were fixing their life support, I got a good look at their technology. It's impressive in scale, but not very sophisticated. Their computer systems are particularly vulnerable." "Vulnerable how?" "Their networks use very basic security protocols. If we wanted to, we could probably access any system on any of their ships without them knowing about it." Admiral Kang nodded slowly. An idea was forming in his mind, but he needed more information first. "Dr. Park, what else did you learn from their communication intercepts?" "The Valtarian Empire controls this entire region of space through military force. Species that resist them are conquered and enslaved. Worlds that surrender are allowed to keep some independence, but they have to pay heavy taxes and provide soldiers for the imperial military." Doesn't sound like a very popular government. It's not. I found references to rebellions on at least a dozen worlds in the past few years. All of them were crushed by the imperial military. Lieutenant Commander Han Yu-jin, the navigation officer, had been studying the star charts they had captured from the aliens. "Admiral, according to these charts, the Empire's capital world is about 2 weeks away at maximum speed. But there are dozens of other species between here and there, all under Imperial control." Kang studied the tactical situation. One human ship against an entire galactic empire. The odds were impossible, but Earth needed to know what they were dealing with. And maybe, just maybe, there was a way to level the playing field. "Captain Nam, open a channel to the alien flagship." "Channel open." "Sir." "Commander Thexvar," Kang said. "This is Admiral Kang. Your ships are repaired and no one is hurt. We're going to leave your space now, but I want you to deliver a message to your Emperor." "On the Valtarian flagship?" Thexvar listened carefully. "Tell your Emperor that Earth requests a formal meeting. We have much to discuss." Thexvar found his voice. "What makes you think the Emperor would waste time meeting with a primitive species?" Kang smiled, though the alien couldn't see it. "Just tell him that the primitive species would like to discuss the future of his empire. I think he'll be interested." On the capital world of Nexus Prime, Emperor Zothkar sat on his crystal throne in the center of the Imperial Palace. The ancient ruler had lived for over 800 years, and in all that time, he had never heard a report quite like the one High Commander Thexvar was giving him. "You're telling me," the Emperor said slowly, "that a single ship from a Category 7 species defeated an entire patrol fleet?" Thexvar stood before the throne, his forearms trembling slightly. "Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. Their weapons passed through our shields like they didn't exist. Their defenses stopped our most powerful plasma cannons without effort." The Emperor was tall even for a Valtarian, with pale skin that had a slight purple tint from age. His large black eyes studied the commander carefully. "And you're certain this ship was from Earth?" The Admiral identified himself as human, from something called the Earth Vessel Soul's Pride. "According to our records, Earth is that small blue planet in Sector 7G. We classified them as primitive decades ago." Prime General Rexthul, the Empire's top military commander, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, this has to be some kind of trick. No Category 7 species could develop such advanced technology without us knowing about it." Science Advisor Pelnax, a thin Valtarian with cybernetic implants covering half his head, disagreed. "General, I've analyzed the sensor data from Commander Thexvar's ships. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. This technology is genuinely advanced." Emperor Zothkar leaned back in his throne. In 8 centuries of rule, he had seen the Empire grow from a single world to a power that controlled hundreds of star systems. No species had ever challenged Valtarian supremacy successfully. But now, a single ship from a world they barely watched had defeated 7 of their best warships. "What message did this human admiral give you?" the Emperor asked. "He said that Earth requests a formal meeting to discuss the future of the Empire," Thexvar replied. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "The future of my empire? How dare they?" Prime General Rexthul stepped closer to the throne. "Your Majesty, I request permission to take the 3rd Imperial Fleet and capture this human ship. Whatever technology they have, we need to study it." "How many ships in the 3rd Fleet?" the Emperor asked. 47 vessels, including the dreadnought Imperial Might. More than enough to handle one alien ship, no matter how advanced. Science Advisor Pelnax looked worried. "Your Majesty, perhaps we should try negotiation first. If their technology is as advanced as it appears—" "No," the Emperor said firmly. "The Valtarian Empire does not negotiate with primitive species. General Rexthal, take your fleet and bring me that human ship intact. I want to see this technology for myself. 3 days later, the Third Imperial Fleet assembled in the space where the Soul's Pride was waiting. 47 Valtarian warships surrounded the single human vessel, their hulls dark against the stars. On the bridge of the Soul's Pride, Admiral Kang studied the massive fleet surrounding his ship. Dr. Park was running continuous scans, while Commander Lee monitored the tactical situation. They certainly don't do anything small, Lieutenant Kim observed. 47 ships, Commander Lee reported. The largest one is over 5 kilometers long. It's carrying enough firepower to destroy a moon. Dr. Park looked up from her science station. Admiral, I've been monitoring their communications since they arrived. They're planning to disable our ship and capture us for interrogation. Colonel Ryu looked grim. Sir, even with our technological advantage, fighting 47 ships at once will be difficult. Admiral Kang nodded. That's why we're not going to fight them all at once. Dr. Jang So-young, the ship's physicist, had been working on something since the first encounter with the Valtarians. Admiral, remember those quantum drones Chief Engineer Choi has been developing? I think I know how we can use them. The quantum drones were microscopic machines, smaller than a grain of sand but packed with advanced technology. They could phase in and out of normal space, making them invisible to most sensors. Explain, Kang said. We deploy the drones throughout their fleet during negotiations. The drones infiltrate their computer systems and create backdoors into every critical system. When we activate them, we can take control of their entire fleet. Chief Engineer Choi smiled. It would be like having the keys to every ship at once, Captain Nam interrupted. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the largest alien ship. Put it through. Prime General Rexthal's voice filled the bridge. Unlike High Commander Thexvar, the general's tone was calm and confident. Human vessel, I am Prime General Rexthal of the Imperial Navy. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now and you will be treated well. Resist and your ship will be destroyed. Admiral Kang thought for a moment. General, I appreciate the direct approach. How about this? You and I meet face to face to discuss terms. I'll come aboard your ship with a small diplomatic team. That is acceptable. But any treachery will result in your immediate destruction. Understood. We'll dock with your ship in 30 minutes. After the communication ended, Commander Lee looked concerned. Sir, this could be a trap. It probably is, Kang agreed. But it's also an opportunity. Dr. Jang, how long do you need to deploy the drones throughout their fleet? About 20 minutes, sir. The drones are so small that their sensors won't detect them. Do it. Captain Shin, select a diplomatic team. We're going to have a very interesting conversation with the general. Major Bae Seung-ho, one of the Marine commanders, stepped forward. Admiral, I should lead the security team. Agreed. But remember, we're going there to talk, not fight. 30 minutes later, Admiral Kang and his team docked with the Valtarian flagship. The meeting took place in the ship's main conference room, a large chamber with a long table surrounded by chairs designed for Valtarian anatomy. Prime General Rexthal was an impressive figure, even larger than most Valtarians, with scars across his pale blue skin that spoke of many battles. He sat across from Admiral Kang with 6 other senior officers flanking him. So, Rexthal said, you are the humans who defeated Commander Thexvar's patrol fleet. We defended ourselves, Kang replied calmly. We tried to avoid fighting. Your technology is impressive, the general admitted. But you are still just one ship. My fleet can destroy you easily. Can it? Kang asked quietly. Rexthal's eyes narrowed. Are you threatening me, human? Not at all. I'm just pointing out that you thought the same thing about Commander Thexvar's fleet. While the 2 commanders talked, the quantum drones were spreading throughout the Imperial fleet. The microscopic machines phased through hull plating and slipped into computer cores without triggering a single alarm. Within minutes, every ship in the fleet was infected. Dr. Jang, monitoring the drones from the Soul's Pride, sent a coded signal to Admiral Kang's communicator. The drones were in position. General, Kang said, standing up slowly, I want you to understand something. Earth doesn't want to fight the Valtarian Empire. We came here looking for friends, not enemies. Primitive species don't get to choose their relationship with the Empire, Rexthal replied. You will surrender your technology and accept Imperial rule or you will be destroyed. Admiral Kang sighed. I was afraid you'd say that. He pressed a button on his communicator. Throughout the Imperial fleet, 47 warships suddenly went dark. Engines shut down, weapons powered off, and life support switched to emergency power. On every bridge, alien commanders stared in shock as their controls stopped responding. "What have you done?" Rexthul demanded, jumping to his feet. "I've shown you the difference between your technology and ours," Kang replied calmly. "Every ship in your fleet is now under our control. We can turn their life support back on whenever we choose." The General Security Team reached for their weapons, but Major Bay and his Marines were already moving. The human soldiers didn't fire a shot. They simply disabled the aliens' weapons with electromagnetic pulses and restrained them with advanced binding materials. "This is impossible," Rexthul whispered. "How did you take control of an entire fleet?" "The same way we defeated Commander Thexavar," Kang explained. "We use technology you don't understand and can't defend against." On his communicator, Dr. Park's voice crackled. "Admiral, all ships are secured. No casualties on either side." Rexthul stared at the human admiral in disbelief. "You've disabled 47 warships without firing a single shot." "That's right. And now I'm going to send a message to your Emperor." Kang activated the ship's communication system, broadcasting on all Imperial frequencies. His voice reached every world in the Empire, every ship in space, every station on the frontier. "People of the galaxy," he said, "I am Admiral Kang Deho of the human starship Soul's Pride. Today, a single ship from Earth has disabled an entire Imperial fleet without harming a single life. We have done this not to conquer, but to prove a point. Throughout the Empire, billions of beings stopped what they were doing to listen. The Valtarian Empire maintains control through fear and superior technology. But what happens when that technology is no longer superior? What happens when the Empire itself becomes primitive compared to newcomers?" On Nexus Prime, Emperor Zothkar listened to the broadcast with growing anger and fear. "We are humanity," Admiral Kang continued. "We come in peace, but we are prepared for war." Emperor Zothkar's hands gripped the arms of his crystal throne so tightly that cracks appeared in the ancient stone. Throughout his palace, advisors and generals stood in shocked silence as Admiral Kang's message echoed through the Imperial communication networks. "Find me another fleet," the Emperor commanded. "The largest one we have." Prime General Rexthul's second-in-command, General Morvac, stepped forward nervously. "Your Majesty, the human admiral has broadcast his message to every world in the Empire. The subjugated species are already responding." Science advisor Pelnax pulled up a holographic display showing the Empire's territory. Red warning lights were blinking on dozens of worlds. "Your Majesty, we're receiving reports of uprisings on Kepler 7, Ross 128, and at least 15 other systems. The local populations believe the Empire has lost its power." "They're wrong," the Emperor snarled. "One human ship got lucky." "That doesn't mean the Empire is weak." But even as he spoke, more reports came in. On worlds that had been peacefully controlled for centuries, alien species were demanding independence. Imperial governors were barricading themselves in their compounds while crowds gathered in the streets. Ambassador Yilvex, the Empire's chief diplomat, approached the throne carefully. "Your Majesty, perhaps we should consider negotiating with these humans. If their technology is as advanced as it appears, no," the Emperor roared. "The Valtarian Empire does not negotiate with primitives." Meanwhile, in the space where the Third Imperial Fleet floated helplessly, Admiral Kang was having a very different conversation with Prime General Rexthul. The Valtarian commander sat in his own ship's conference room, but now the humans controlled everything around him. "Your Emperor won't negotiate," Rexthul said bitterly. "He's too proud. He'd rather see the Empire burn than admit weakness." Dr. Park looked up from the portable computer she had brought to monitor the Imperial communication networks. "Admiral, I'm reading massive civil unrest throughout their territory. At least 20 worlds have declared independence in the past 2 hours." Lieutenant Commander Han Yu-jin, who had come with the diplomatic team, studied the star charts spread across the table. "Sir, if these uprisings continue, the Empire could collapse within weeks." Admiral Kang turned to Rexthul. "General, help me understand something. Why does your Empire rule through fear? Why not try to make the conquered worlds actually want to stay?" Rexthul laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You really are from a primitive world, aren't you? Strong species rule, weak species serve. That's how the galaxy works." "That's how your galaxy works," Dr. Lee Chang-wook, the team's xenopsychologist, corrected gently. On Earth, we learned that cooperation creates more strength than domination. Your planet has only one intelligent species, Rex Thule pointed out. Out here there are hundreds of different races with different needs, different cultures, different goals. The only way to maintain order is through strength. Captain Oh Seung-jin, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. What if there was a better way? What if instead of ruling through fear, you could lead through example? Rex Thule stared at the human pilot. What do you mean? Admiral Kang leaned forward. General, your empire controls hundreds of worlds. But how many of those worlds actually contribute to making life better for everyone? How many of them are developing new technologies, creating art, solving problems? The conquered worlds provide resources and soldiers, Rex Thule replied. But do they innovate? Do they create? Do they solve problems that benefit everyone? The general thought about this. No, most of them just exist. They do what they're told and nothing more. That's because you've given them no reason to do anything else, Dr. Lee explained. When people are oppressed, they stop trying to improve things. They just survive. On his communicator, Admiral Kang received a message from the Soul's Pride. Fleet Admiral Won Sang-min had arrived with the main Earth Fleet, 12 ships that represented humanity's most advanced technology. General, Kang said, I want to show you something. He activated a holographic projector that displayed the space around them. Rex Thule gasped as he saw 12 more human ships materializing from quantum tunnels, each one as advanced as the Soul's Pride. This is Fleet Admiral Won Sang-min, a voice said over the communicator. Admiral Kang, what's the situation? We're in negotiations with the Valtarian Empire, sir. They're reluctant to consider peaceful solutions. Rex Thule stared at the display. 13 human ships against his 47 disabled vessels, and an empire that was already falling apart. How many ships does Earth have? He asked quietly. Enough, Kang replied simply. But that's not the point. The point is what we want to do with them. Dr. Zhang's voice came through the communicator from the Soul's Pride. Admiral, I'm reading massive energy signatures from the direction of Nexus Prime. It looks like they're mobilizing their reserve fleet. Rex Thule nodded grimly. The Emperor has probably called up the Home Guard. 500 ships, including the super dreadnought Galaxy's End. If he's bringing that into play, he means to fight to the death. Admiral Kang thought about this. 500 ships would be a real challenge, even with human technology. People would die, maybe a lot of people. There had to be a better way. General, what would happen if Emperor Zulthkar was no longer in charge? Are you suggesting assassination? Rex Thule asked, sounding shocked. No. I'm suggesting that maybe it's time for the Valtarian people to choose new leadership. Dr. Park looked up excitedly. Admiral, I've been monitoring their internal communications. There's significant dissent among the Valtarian nobility. Many of them think the Emperor's refusal to negotiate is foolish. Who leads the opposition? Kang asked. Rex Thule was quiet for a long moment. Duchess Veltara controls the industrial worlds in the core systems. General Threndock commands the Second Imperial Fleet. Science Administrator Quinnex oversees technological development. They've all argued with the Emperor about his policies before. Could they remove him from power? In theory, the Imperial Council has the authority to depose an emperor who is unfit to rule. But it would require a majority vote, and Zulthkar still has many supporters. Ambassador Kim Ji-eun, who had just arrived with Fleet Admiral Wan's diplomatic team, joined the conversation. What if they had proof that the Emperor's policies were destroying the Empire? What kind of proof? Rex Thule asked. The kind where 23 worlds have declared independence in the past 4 hours, Dr. Park reported, looking at her latest intelligence summary. Rex Thule's eyes widened. 23 worlds? And counting. Your empire is collapsing, General. The Emperor's refusal to adapt to changing circumstances is causing everything he built to fall apart. General Lim Kyung-soo, who commanded the human ground forces, had been studying reports from the rebellious worlds. Admiral, we're receiving direct requests for assistance from several of the worlds that have declared independence. They want protection from Imperial retaliation. Admiral Kang made a decision. General Rex Thule, I'm going to make you an offer. Help us contact these moderate Valtarian leaders. Help us arrange a peaceful transition of power. In return, Earth will help rebuild this region of space as a cooperative confederation instead of a conquering empire. And if I refuse, then we'll protect the rebellious worlds anyway. Your empire will collapse into civil war and millions of people will die unnecessarily. Rexthul looked around the conference room. These humans had disabled his entire fleet without firing a shot. They could probably do the same thing to the Home Guard if they had to. But they were offering cooperation instead of conquest. What exactly are you proposing? He asked. A new galactic government based on voluntary cooperation instead of forced submission, Ambassador Kim explained. Each world chooses whether to join. Those that do get access to advanced technology, mutual defense agreements, and fair trade relationships. Those that don't are left alone as long as they don't attack their neighbors. And the Valtarian worlds? They get the same choice as everyone else, Admiral Kang said. But I suspect that when they see the benefits of cooperation, most of them will choose to stay. Rexthul thought about this for a long time. Finally, he activated his communicator. This is Prime General Rexthul to Duchess Veltara on Nexus Prime. I need to speak with you immediately about the future of the Empire. Dr. Park smiled as she monitored the communication networks. Change was coming to the galaxy, whether Emperor Zothkar wanted it or not. On Nexus Prime, the Emperor was about to learn that even absolute power has its limits when the people it controls stop believing in it. Your Majesty, came a voice over the palace communication system. Duchess Veltara and the Imperial Council request an emergency session. Emperor Zothkar had ruled for 8 centuries, but as he looked at the reports of rebellions, the disabled fleet, and the growing opposition among his own nobles, he began to realize that his reign might be coming to an end. Summon the council, he said quietly. Let's see what they have to say. 6 months later, Admiral Kang stood on the observation deck of what was once called Nexus Prime Imperial Station. Now it was simply Nexus Station, headquarters of the new Galactic Cooperative. Through the massive windows, he watched human and alien crews working together to retrofit ships with hybrid technologies that neither species could have developed alone. The transition had not been easy. Emperor Zothkar had refused to step down voluntarily, forcing the Imperial Council to remove him through a formal vote of no confidence. Some core worlds had remained loyal to the old Emperor and fought brief but fierce battles against the human fleet. But human technology had proven as decisive in those conflicts as it had in the first encounters. The quantum torpedoes that could phase through any shield, the adaptive AI systems that learned from each engagement, and the fusion antimatter reactors that provided seemingly unlimited power, had established humanity as the galaxy's new technological leaders. But unlike the Valtarians, the humans had used that power to liberate rather than conquer. Admiral, Dr. Park called from her position at one of the station's science stations. She was now Director of Interspecies Research, overseeing the first joint technology development programs in galactic history. The Kepler-7 delegation has arrived for the trade negotiations. Kang nodded. Kepler-7 had been one of the first worlds to declare independence when his message broadcast throughout the Empire. Their people, a species of crystalline beings with incredible mathematical abilities, had eagerly joined the cooperative when they learned that membership meant sharing knowledge rather than surrendering resources. How are the negotiations going? Very well. They're offering to share their gravitational manipulation technology in exchange for our quantum computing systems. The combination should allow us to develop faster than light communication. That was how the cooperative worked. Each member species contributed what they did best and benefited from everyone else's strengths. The Andorian crystals from Kepler-7 could manipulate gravity in ways human scientists had never imagined. The Zephyrians from Ross-128 had developed biological computers that could grow and adapt. The Valtarians themselves, freed from the need to suppress other species, had begun sharing their plasma technology and energy manipulation techniques. Commander Lee, now Captain Lee and commander of the station's defense forces, approached with a report. Admiral, long-range sensors are picking up the return of the Unity's Promise from the Outer Rim territories. The Unity's Promise was one of the new joint species ships, crewed by humans, Valtarians, Keplerians, and half a dozen other species. It had been exploring the edge of known space, making contact with civilizations that had never been part of the old empire. Any word on their mission? They've made contact with 3 new species, all interested in joining the cooperative. Though hostile encounters, that was typical. Most species, when offered genuine partnership instead of conquest, chose cooperation. The galaxy was full of worlds that had been isolated by the Empire's aggressive expansion policies. Now they were eager to join something better. Fleet Admiral Wan approached from the Strategic Planning Center. He had been working with former Prime General Rexthal, now Defense Coordinator Rexthal, to integrate the best elements of Imperial military doctrine with human tactical innovations. Admiral Kang, we've received the final reports from the integration process. 43 former Imperial worlds have voted to join the cooperative. 12 have chosen independence but signed non-aggression pacts. Only 7 have refused all contact. And those 7? They're welcome to isolate themselves as long as they don't attack their neighbors. The cooperative guarantees everyone's right to self-determination. Dr. Seo Hee-jin, who now headed the Cultural Exchange Department, joined the conversation. Admiral, I wanted to update you on the education programs. We now have mixed species schools operating on over 100 worlds. Children who grow up together tend not to see each other as enemies. That had been one of Kang's key insights. The old empire had maintained power by keeping species separate and suspicious of each other. The cooperative encouraged interaction and cooperation from an early age. Children who played together, learned together, and grew up as friends were unlikely to go to war with each other as adults. Any problems with the integration? Some initial cultural misunderstandings, but nothing serious. It turns out most intelligent species have very similar basic needs: security, prosperity, the chance to grow and learn. When those needs are met through cooperation instead of domination, conflicts become much easier to resolve. Ambassador Kim approached with a communication pad. Admiral, we've received a message from the Deep Space Monitoring Station. They've detected massive energy signatures from the direction of the Magellanic Clouds. Kang took the pad and read the report. The energy signatures were unlike anything in the cooperative's databases. Not Valterian, not human, not any of the known species they had encountered. How massive are we talking about? The estimated power output suggests ships larger than anything we've ever seen. Possibly an entire fleet of vessels, each one bigger than our largest stations. Captain Lee looked concerned. Could they be hostile? Unknown. But the energy patterns suggest technology that's significantly more advanced than ours. Rexthal, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. In the old empire, we had legends about the ancients, a species that supposedly ruled this part of the galaxy millions of years ago before disappearing. Most scholars thought they were myths. What did the legends say about them? Dr. Park asked. That they possessed technology that could reshape matter at the atomic level, travel instantly between distant galaxies, and manipulate time itself. Again, most of us assumed it was just mythology. Admiral Kang studied the energy readings more carefully. Whatever was generating these signatures was still far away, probably several months' travel even at maximum speed. But they were definitely headed toward cooperative space. Dr. Park, I want every science team in the cooperative working on this. Analyze these energy patterns, try to determine what kind of technology could produce them. Yes, sir. Should we prepare for potential conflict? We should prepare for anything. But our first priority is still the same. Try to make contact peacefully. Chief Engineer Choi, now Director of Technological Development, had been examining the readings on her own instruments. Admiral, whatever's producing these signatures, it's using principles of physics that we don't fully understand. This could be an incredible opportunity to learn, or an incredible threat, Captain Lee pointed out. Maybe both, Kang agreed. But that's what we're here for, to meet the unknown and find a way to turn it into an opportunity for everyone. Ambassador Kim looked thoughtful. Sir, should we inform all cooperative members about this development? Absolutely. Transparency is one of our founding principles. Every member species should know what we're dealing with. 6 hours later, the Galactic Cooperative Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from over 60 species gathered in the Great Assembly Hall that had once been Emperor Zothkar's throne room. The crystal throne itself had been replaced with a round table where all members sat as equals. Fellow beings, Admiral Kang addressed the assembly, we face a new challenge and a new opportunity. Something is approaching our region of space, something with technology that surpasses our own. A murmur ran through the assembled delegates. The cooperative's technological advantages had been the foundation of their success. What would happen if they encountered something even more advanced? Duchess Veltara, now the elected representative of the Valterian world, spoke first. Admiral Kang, in the old empire, we would have prepared for war. What does the cooperative propose? What we always propose. We prepare to extend a hand in friendship, while keeping the other hand ready to defend ourselves if necessary. The crystalline delegate from Kepler-7 pulsed with mathematical harmonics that the translation systems converted to speech. The probability calculations suggest that any species capable of intergalactic travel has solved the fundamental problems of resource scarcity and energy production. They may have no need to conquer others, or they might see us as primitive species to be subjugated, pointed out the Zephyrian representative, their plant-like form rustling with concern. Rexthal stood up slowly. If I may, in my military experience, how a civilization responds to the unknown reveals everything about their character. The humans could have conquered us. Instead, they chose to liberate us. Perhaps these newcomers will prove equally enlightened. Admiral Kang smiled. Coordinator Rexthal makes an excellent point. We'll prepare our defenses, but we'll also prepare our welcome. If these beings prove peaceful, we'll have much to learn from each other. If they prove hostile, he paused. Well, we've faced impossible odds before. Dr. Park activated the main display, showing the updated sensor readings. Based on their current trajectory and speed, first contact should occur in approximately 4 months. I recommend we send our most advanced ship to meet them at the edge of our territory. Which ship? Asked Captain Lee. The Harmony, Kang replied without hesitation. The Harmony was the newest and most advanced vessel in the cooperative fleet, incorporating the best technology from all member species.